Hey, my Lipton. So I wanted to get into this video because honestly, at first I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this shit. I'm not gonna do a video because it's just like, so I feel like to me personally, I thought that, the whole thing that occurred yesterday, was just a stunt. I don't know, like it was a stunt to me. I felt like when the whole Tony Khan Twitter thing with the Jinder Mahal and all that was going on, I was just like, you know what? It's the new year. Maybe Tony Khan wanted some attention. So I was just like, you know what? Let me not pay no mind. But then as it kept on going and it kept on going and it kept on going, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe this isn't a stunt. Well, maybe it is to a certain extent, but I'm gonna just give you guys my own opinions and thoughts on the situation. But before I continue on this video, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. If you guys want to look at any other previous videos that I've done on like the wrestling business, on WWE, some thoughts I had on the WWE, some thoughts I had on AEW, you guys can go to my wrestling talk playlist, go on my videos there. You guys go see what I'm talking about over there. Now, before I start this video, let me just say this. I like currently at this moment, like wrestling as a whole has not captured me or made me excited in all these companies, WWE, AEW, TNA, NWA. Like I so far have turned off all things wrestling because I just feel like, I don't know, I can't relate to it. A lot of the storylines, I feel like it's more wrestling than it is storylines, and some of the even the storylines that we see and some of the things that the promos and things like that, a lot of it is cringy, some of it is not making sense. And even when we get to the wrestling part, because after the storyline, you got to build it up to the match. Some of these like, I'm just not feeling a lot of the spots and a lot of the bumps, some of these wrestlers are taking, and then so, and there's sometimes too where these wrestlers, I think I just saw a clip like not even that long ago, or like an AEW, I think it was like with Will Ospreay and some other wrestlers. They were like, they were kicking each other, and like they kept getting up, and it's like nobody's selling, and it's just like that kind of annoyed me. And it's just like, I know, like back, especially like back in the Attitude Era, that would never happen, or like back in the days of like the glory days of WCW, that wouldn't happen. So it's just like when I kept seeing that shit turns me off. Like that's honestly what makes, this is why kayfabe is not a thing anymore. This is why, wrestling is fucking fake. Like, and wrestling has always been fake, but guess what? Back then they made sure they hid that shit. Okay, they made you believe it, and now things are just not believable. So let me just get that off my chest. Okay. Now, second of all, let me just say this. I've talked about Vince McMahon on this channel. I've talked about Eric Bischoff on this channel. I've talked about Tony Khan on this channel. I've discussed my disappointments in Vince McMahon and certain decisions that he's done on this channel. I've discussed Tony Khan. I did like the roast of Tony Khan on this channel, and this might be, the title of this video might be the roast of Tony Khan part 2. Okay, because the way this man is just going, I like, it's just, I've never seen a boss like this ever in my life, honestly, truly. So I've discussed all these people. So it's like, listen, everybody can catch these hands. I don't sway no way or the other. Thirdly, I've discussed previously on this channel, I've said it multiple times. I'm like, yo, I personally feel like, Tony Khan doesn't need to do media scrums. He doesn't need to be there. At the end of the day, he's a boss. Like, why is he even there? And then on top of that, Tony Khan is not an on-air character, so why is he always, you know, being up front and center in a lot of things? That should be the point where the wrestlers should be showcased. I don't like the outbursts that Tony Khan has made in the past, the way he's handled himself. There are times where, and I genuinely, and this more, even now, more so now, this proves, like, to me, Tony Khan has always been like a Twitter warrior, like a social media warrior. Like, he has a lot of he talks about good stuff on Twitter, on the internet, but when it comes time to have that face to face, and this is his own words, not mine. He was afraid for his life. He was scared for his life. He didn't know what to do when CM Punk allegedly lunged at him. So that's another thing too. It's just Tony Khan comes out very pussy to me. Like he comes out very like scaredy cat. He gives me that vibe, and it's just like you talk all that shit, but it's like you need to have that same kind of energy, okay? Or if anything, be an on air, be like do what Vince McMahon did, be an on air character, capitalize on your mouth, capitalize on your pussycat qualities, and let's get this, let's make some money. But no, Tony Khan is always, when people want him to go right, he goes left. So it's like, okay, if you're gonna do that, then you might as well just be the CEO of your company. Just be that. Don't be on media scrums. Don't be coming out on camera. Don't do any of that. Just stay behind the scenes. You do you. Hire somebody to be the head of creative. Hire somebody to take leadership roles within the company that have experience within those roles, not wrestlers. I've had issues with that. I had issues with Tony Khan always appointing, talent as freaking EVPs and all these different things. And it's just like, why the hell are you having active talent as your EVPs? And then on top of that, you put Bryan Danielson on the disciplinary committee. That made still I don't understand that shit. So this man has made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. At this point, I don't want to call them mistakes. They're decisions that he's making. Now, nobody at all. And maybe, let me just be fair. Y'all gonna come out here and say, oh, well, the USA Network Twitter thing is the one that started it. And listen, if they, let's say they did. Okay. Why not ignore it? Why not ignore it? At the end of the day, they didn't say your name. And then on top of that, they knew that they can trigger you. If you know that what WWE is doing and they do certain things, and especially online or whatever, if you know that they trigger you or they trigger some kind of anger in you, why not listen? I gotta do some. If you're gonna be shady towards me, I'm gonna be shady towards you. But I'm gonna make sure I make moves behind the scene. I'm gonna make sure I hit your pockets. Okay, and I think that's the difference between Tony Khan and his AEW thing and when it comes to WWE. And I know a lot of people, and I'm going to discuss it too with the Eric Bischoff stuff and the Vince McMahon stuff, because I know a lot of people were very upset with, some of the AEW fans were upset with Eric Bischoff responding and, calling Tony Khan a clown. Now, I'm going to discuss that. But, when it comes to WWE, they know how, it's kind of like the evil genius kind of vibe with WWE. With Tony Khan, it's not giving that. And I honestly feel like Tony Khan is not built for this. He's not built to be in this role. He's not built to take care of a wrestling company. Honestly, truly. He's not savvy enough. And so he saw that tweet because apparently the USA, and I'm not going to bring up the tweet because it's just like, it's too much. But he saw that the USA Network was like, oh, so what's the rating on the cage match that we've had on our network, on the WWE programming? And I guess Tony Khan saw that and went off. He was like, oh, and he's talking about Jinder. And mind you, Jinder Mahal, so far what I've seen, has never talked about AEW, has never thrown shade, from what I've seen. He's like, oh, well, Jinder Mahal has lost so many matches, and yet all of a sudden, and I'm paraphrasing, all of a sudden he's getting a title match. What sense does that make? But yet Hook and blah, blah. I don't know who the hell his Hook is. I don't know what wrestler Hook, Captain Hook, who? I don't know who the fuck he was talking about. And neither did Jinder Mahal. And Jinder Mahal was just like, bitch, who the fuck is Hook? We don't know who that is, okay? Please watch Monday Night Raw on the USA Network on Mondays, okay? So, Tony Khan kept on going. He kept on going. And, don't get me wrong. He was getting some people supporting him, and people were like, oh, well, Tony Khan is just doing what, the previous owners of wrestling companies did back in the day. So it's nothing different. Here's the thing. And I hate when y'all be, I don't like when y'all be comparing Tony Khan to like a Vince McMahon or Eric Bischoff. Hell, even a Paul Heyman or even a fucking Dixie Carter. I don't like it because one, those individuals, those four individuals that I just pointed out, Dixie, Paul, Vince, Eric, so many others. Even Ted Turner, let's add him there. They've been in this business for decades and decades and decades. Okay? They've been in this business for decades. Dixie was in TNA for 20 years. Eric has been in the wrestling business for I don't even know how long, but he's been there long. Paul Heyman's still in the wrestling business. Vince McMahon, is all he knows since he was, young. So, and it's the work that those individuals put in to wrestling business doesn't, Tony Khan's work, he's only been here for 4 or 5 years. It doesn't accumulate to what those individuals have done, okay? AEW, to me personally, still, even though it's not in its inception, but it's still, it's a baby. It's 4 or 5 years old, preschool. It's in preschool era. So it's just stay in your lane. You're still a child. Feel me? And it's I remember seeing, and I didn't talk about this on this channel. I remember Tony Khan was just oh, yeah, we be getting targets, we be getting negative press and things like that. We're targeted all the time. And that's how that's how these other wrestling promoters Jim Crockett and all those people, they ran out of business. But, with us, we're always getting attacked and da-da-da-da. And to me, when I listened to that clip, I was just sir, you're new to the block. What do you think? Every wrestling promoter, Vince, Eric, Paul, Dixie has been in the game for 20 years. Guess what? For good or for bad, whatever. Miss Mamas has always had a target on her back. TNA was always trashed. So it's just you just came here. What do you, the scrutiny, at the end of the day, when you're a public and when you're out here, when you're a public, especially you, Tony Khan, when you chose to put your face out there and you chose to come out here and be yeah, to AEW this, AEW that, expect the good and also expect the scrutiny. That comes with the territory. Vince McMahon has got it for years, for good and for bad. Don't get me wrong. Do we call out Vince McMahon for his bullshit? Absolutely. And as we should. And we're still doing it to this day for his allegations. So it's just and it's I feel like Tony Khan is too whiny for me. I don't know. I don't like his whiny behavior. It's a huge turnoff. So he said all this, and people were dragging the shit out of Tony Khan on Twitter. It was just sir, if you don't shut the fuck up, who even asked you to say? And honestly, that should have been something that should have never been said. And then, let me just go to the Tony Khan, the Eric Bischoff piece. So some of the AEW fans had issues with Eric Bischoff's tweets, and they were oh, Eric, you're the same one. If honestly you're the one that started this kind of thing between wrestling promoters. You punched up to Vince McMahon during the Monday Night Wars. You shouldn't be talking. If anything, you should understand where Tony is coming from. Tony's not doing anything that you haven't done. And I was just and someone wrote a tweet, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. And they said that the difference is that Eric Bischoff was actually beating Vince McMahon in the ratings. So, in a way, Eric Bischoff had bragging rights. He had bragging rights to talk his shit. He had bragging rights to be yeah, Raw fears ratings. At the end of the day, y'all are comparing one of the golden eras in wrestling to this kiddie pool niche markish situation that's going on right now. And it's just the fact that y'all are comparing, I like I said before, I hate this comparison. Old Tony Khan is battling Vince McMahon and the WWE. Battling where? First of all, both WWE and both AEW's ratings are trash. Yes, WWE is beating AEW's ratings, whatever, here and there. But it's None of these companies are fucking reaching 2 million viewers or nothing. Like they're just at a niche part of their market right now, of their audience. So it's just like what war? Like and even the ones in that war, honestly, that I don't care. Maybe it's for the niche audience to have bragging by saying that, you know, AEW beat NXT in the Wednesday Night War. Okay, okay. I mean, I guess like congratulations. Shout out to you, girl. But what is that like? That's not doing anything for me. That's not doing anything for me, and I'm just like, I just don't care. Okay, and and yes, I do feel like Eric has the right to be like, listen, if you're gonna talk your shit, if you're gonna go at WWE, go at WWE. Go head to head with them, competition the way I did. I made sure Nitro was on the same night as Raw, okay, and I made sure that I beat them in the ratings 83 weeks. Tony needs to have that same, like, that's what I'm talking about. If you're gonna talk about competition and all that, okay, put Dynamite on Monday night on Monday nights the same time as Raw. Put the other show, what is it called, Rampage, on Friday nights when SmackDown is being premiered. Do something like that, and then maybe we can talk. And if you start actually beating them in the ratings, then I'm gonna give you your props. But none of that is happening. So it's like, Tony, what are you talking all this shit for when you're a sore loser? Like, it's just, the math is not mathing. And I feel like Tony has really shed a bad light on his company. To me personally, I feel like, even though I don't want it to be, because I think the WWE needs competition. Like, they need that in order for them to be great, in order for them to hire good writers, in order for them to produce good content. And I just feel like AEW is just, I don't know why. Like now, even before this whole thing, like anytime, like I was, trying to get some clips, trying to see some things, to catch up on certain things. I feel like there's more negative commentary for AEW than there is positive. Like, there's even this one YouTuber that I follow on YouTube. I'm a subscriber to him, and before he was like, he still is an AEW fan, but like even him, he's starting to point out a lot of criticisms that he has with the AEW product. So it's like, I feel like the product is just not progressing, and Tony really needs to focus on building stars and building up those ratings. That's it. Stop focusing on WWE. Stop focusing on Jinder Mahal and all that. Excuse me. And honestly, at this point, WWE might take this as free promo, free marketing. Because that's all that Tony Khan did. He gave WWE free promo and free marketing for the Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal match. And it's like, in a way, like that's another part I'm not understanding about Tony. It's like, do you see what you just did here? Like, it's like, in a way, I'm like, okay, maybe Tony's doing this to get some attention for AEW, but at the same time, I'm like, how are you doing that? But yet you're also bringing negative attention towards you, because now people are gonna say that you're like a mealy mouth running like bitch that just complains about anything and everything. You're a sore loser, and on top of that, you're bringing more attention to Jinder Mahal, which honestly, most likely he was not even gonna win that match against Seth Rollins. So it was like, what was the purpose, Tony? What was the purpose? What was the reason? I don't know. I just feel like Tony needs to leave social media. Have a social media manager. Have someone take over your Twitter. If you can't handle social media, and this is a grown man that we're talking about. Tony Khan is a grown man. I think he's in his 40s. This man is just off the rails. He clearly cannot handle the spotlight. He clearly cannot handle the scrutiny. He needs to have someone, take him aside, be like, yo, let me handle this. You go be the CEO. You go be in the headquarters. Let us handle the talent stuff. Let us handle the social medias. You sit this one out. But at the end of the day, Tony has to be the one to want that for himself. So that's just my thoughts on that. Lastly, I'm gonna talk about Chris Jericho real quick, and I'm not gonna be too long. I don't know. There's been a lot of weird news about Chris Jericho. Chris has been in the news for not so good reasons, and even today there's some news, and I'm gonna say allegedly for all these things. Chris. At first, it started off with Chris Jericho going off about CM Punk's lawyer, and then it ended up about him allegedly making a pass at someone at work, and then by the next thing you know, the dirt sheets are saying that it was allegedly sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, and then now I wake up today, I go to Twitter, and here's these news talking about some MVP allegedly knocked out Chris Jericho at his Jericho cruise, and I'm just like, huh? It's just weird news about Chris, and honestly, Chris really needs to he's also another one too. He needs to stay offline, stay off the social media, you know, stop commenting on things, stop trying to always comment. And even that Chris Jericho lawyer, that CM Punk lawyer thing, it really didn't need his commentary on that. So it's just like, I feel like that kind of snowballed a lot of shit for him. But Chris needs to sit this one out. He needs to sit this one out and stop talking. Stop talking. And honestly, we don't know yet about those allegations about, sexual misconduct or harassment or passes and stuff like that. It has to be said by the Wall Street Journal or like some, I don't know, New York Times or something, Washington Post, for us to really read into this. But because it was written by dirt sheet markish writers and online stuff like that, like I'm at this point right now, I'm not going to take it too seriously, but I'm kind of giving Chris the side eye still, because it's still a little bit like, oh, okay. But anyway, y'all, that's just my thoughts on that. It's just been a mess with these, oh gosh. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get up to 800 subscribers. The goal is to get it to 1,000. How do you guys feel about tonykhan's tweets? How do you guys feel about this whole Chris Jericho thing? How do you guys feel about, the comparisons between Eric Bischoff and Tonykhan? I will talk to you guys later. Love y'all down. I might do some Echo reviews, so, watch out for that. And, I love you guys down. Bye.